Hi, today I'm going to show you how I made this Diamonds and Pearls tumbler. This is Crystal with Emerson Aurora Design, and I hope you enjoy my video. Here I'm using a 20-ounce skinny straight from the Stainless Depot. I've already prepped and spray painted it flat white, and I'm going in with just a small amount of epoxy to do the glitter with the epoxy method. This will be the base for our peekaboo. I want to do this in kind of light colored rainbow, not quite pastels, a little bit darker than pastels, but I want to do a rainbow swirl with the glitter. You want just enough epoxy to allow that glitter to adhere without moving too much. I tend to use a little bit more epoxy excuse me, than some people do. I just go back in and add 2 layers of my glitter so that the epoxy, when it soaks up the first layer of glitter, I can add a little bit more and it looks really sparkly and pretty. Hit it with my torch to get any bubbles, and now we're on to the fun part. These are all my glitters. They are basically the diamond series from Glitter Craze. I can leave the Glitter Craze website in my description link below. These are really pretty, high shine, sparkly glitters. The camera's really not doing much justice to them right here, but you'll see later on how sparkly they are. I'm just going in the basic rainbow pattern, starting at the top and allowing my spinner to turn as I lay the glitters down to have a nice swirl effect. As you can see, the epoxy is soaking that glitter up pretty well, and that's why I go back in with the second layer right after I lay this down, and the glitter sits on top of the epoxy a little better to make it more sparkly. And here we are the next day. I'm going to add another layer of epoxy over to seal in those glitters nicely. I do end up using, probably applying 2 more layers of epoxy over this glitter to make my surface nice and smooth. Since I'm going to go in with a pearl peekaboo, I really want to make sure my cup is nice and smooth so it doesn't show any lumps or bumps. And there it is, all epoxied. So pretty. I'm excited for this tumbler. I'm going to now add just a little bit of Mr. Nola's glitter. It's a large cut opal on top of the epoxy that I just laid down, just to give a little bit more of a flash to my glitter. And that'll peek through the peekaboo and just have a little bit more added bling. Of course, I am going to go back over this tumbler 2 more times with layers of epoxy to get that nice smooth finish we all love. Here we are. Now I did clean the edge of my tumbler and I did sand this down really well. When you do peekaboos, you can sand your tumbler as long as you're not taking off any of the upper layer spray paint. I'm using this diamond pattern that I made on my Cricut design space, and it's on this ugly green pea green removable vinyl, but I buy that for a reason, so I know that this is my removable vinyl. I use this in place of stencil vinyl. I could see it better. So I did measure it out to the dimensions of my tumbler, and I cut it out to fit. I will be having a tutorial on how I make these templates at a later time, so be watching for that. So I'm just lining up my stencil here, trying to make sure that those points of the diamond match up perfectly. It's a bit of a process, but once you have it, it works out really well. The nice thing about using the removable vinyl is if the stencil is a little wonky, you can kind of move it and, you know, fix it without worrying about messing up your design. Smooth it on there really good and make sure that there's no edges that are lifting, because then the spray paint will get underneath when you do your peekaboo. For this design, I'm going to be removing the diamond shapes and leaving the outline so that when I spray my peekaboo, the outline will be the glitter underneath. Having a little bit of a struggle session here. See guys, I'm not perfect. I always struggle with this vinyl and laying stuff down on cups. A few choice words usually are said. So you can see that those lines are kind of up. I'm going to fix that in a minute. And that, like I said, that's what is nice about using the removable vinyl as a stencil. So I'm going to piece this together and fix it, and then I'll show you my next steps. I'm sorry this is a little bit at the top of the frame. I really needed to be able to see it to fix this, so I hope you can tell what I'm doing. I'm making sure that those edges are down very nicely. You want to run your fingers across them really well to make them nice and adhere to the tumbler so that your spray paint doesn't find its way underneath the part of the peekaboo that you don't want spray paint. So now I'm just going to remove those diamond centers. And through the magic of editing, I'm almost done. So here it is, all peeled up. I am going to go in with a matte clear spray to make sure that my lines are going to be really straight and smooth when I peel this up, if that makes sense. It helps prevent that spray paint from getting underneath your peekaboo vinyl. So I'm going to go in with a combination, kind of a variegated of this dreamy lavender. I can't tell what the other two are called, to be honest, because I did not write them down. But I just wanted to go in with a pretty pink, purple, and blue. Now that's sprayed down and nice and dry. I'm going to use the tack it method, and we're going to use the tack it method to lay down a very pretty color shift mica. I am adding just a little bit of water to thin that down because I don't want my glue to be too thick, because it may pull up some of my spray paint when I peel up the peekaboo. So just use a soft brush and put a thin layer of the tack it completely over your tumbler. and we'll let that dry. And then we'll do the fun part, messy part of using the micas. Let that completely dry before we go on to the next step. So I'm over my glitter catcher tray and my glue is all dry, and I'm using this pretty ballerina pink mica from Arteza. I'll leave a link in the description box below. I really like their products. So I'm just tapping a little bit in my little tray here. This does get messy, so make sure you're somewhere where you don't have wet epoxy so nothing flies over on it. I'm just taking kind of a stiff paintbrush and I'm literally painting the dry mica right over that tacket. Make sure you do pretty good strokes. You want to get that mica tacked down to that glue. Right now you can't really tell if it's doing anything. It does cause a pearl sheen. So as I turn the tumbler, you'll be able to see that beautiful pearl from the mica. It has a slightly pink tint to match my spray paints that I used. Now if you use mica over the spray painted base, you will see every little lump and bump in that your epoxy may have. So if you don't like that, make sure your tumbler is completely smooth and sanded and beautiful. And look at that beautiful shine. This is the pearl for my diamonds and pearl. Isn't that beautiful? So now is my favorite part, peeling up my vinyl to reveal the beautiful glitter below. I love doing this. It always surprises me at how gorgeous that glitter is underneath the painted tumbler. Be really careful when you're peeling up your vinyl. I'm using a pin pen. It has a little needle in it, and I am just carefully poking that vinyl to get an edge to flip up and then pulling it off. You can use tweezers or whatever tool you normally like. Just be really careful. Try not to scratch your spray paint. You want to make sure that everything is completely dry on your tumbler before you start this phase so that you don't leave fingerprints or marks in your spray painted top. Almost done. You can really see how beautiful that rainbow swirl is. I absolutely love it. Once I'm finished with peeling up my vinyl, I do a quick inspection of my tumbler, make sure there's no mistakes or scratches that I need to repair, and then I'm going to put this on my turner again to apply a layer of epoxy. So this is a couple days later. My epoxy is fully cured, and look at that beautiful rainbow and that gorgeous pearl shine. I wanted to add just a little bit more bling to this tumbler. I do have these clear backed rhinestones that I purchased from Amazon. I'll leave them in a link below. And I wanted to put a little bit of diamonds with my pearls. So at the point of each section of the diamond, I'm going to place a rhinestone. This is gem glue. I also purchased this on Amazon. I use this to do my rhinestone tumblers, and once you lay your rhinestone on this glue, it sticks so well. I've never had a rhinestone pop off of my rhinestone tumblers. I'll leave this in a link below. It goes on white, so you'll see it looks like I'm putting the rhinestone in the middle of a white blob, but it will dry clear and those beautiful backless rhinestones will sparkle on this tumbler. Just do this in little sections at a time and allow that glue to dry. This is a nice way to get into rhinestoning without wanting to do the whole tumbler. It just adds a little bit extra to your tumbler, and of course, If we love glitter and we love bling, we're pretty extra. This little wax dauber tool was purchased on Amazon also. Everything I use I'll put in the description box below. Now, when you do rhinestones, the rhinestones will be the very last step. You do not want to epoxy over the rhinestones, otherwise you'll lose your sparkle. Here it is when the glue is still wet, but look how pretty. I wasn't sure if I was going to put any at the bottom, but I do end up putting rhinestones at the bottom, and it really matches it nicely. Here she is all finished. The rhinestones are all, the glue's all dry, and you can see the beautiful bling of my diamonds and pearls tumbler. You could do this in so many ways with so many color variations. Give this a try, you guys. It is absolutely a stunner and one of my favorite tumblers I've made in a while. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed yourself and learned something new. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. And happy crafting, everyone!